Hey, it's Seto Kaiba, and you're watching Anime Egotists. I don't know why. These guys don't know how to duel, unless they learned from Yugi, who cheats, or maybe Joey, who's a dog. Oh, why don't you have some more jelly donuts, like Brock, and maybe you'll get better. Not. Oh, and I play my Blue Eyes White Dragon and kick your butts.
And welcome back to the Anime Egotists, where if you're counting on us to save the world with card games, we might actually be able to pull it off.
Yeah, well, you have the what was that card? The chicken with the magic chicken with wings.
The magic dragon with wings, the most powerful card of all time.
Exactly. So yeah, we could probably do it.
Yeah, my name's Alex, and I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if I could pilot a mech or whatever they're called, mech Gundam. I don't know. I couldn't pilot it. It would not go well.
I'm Richard. Somehow I think I could.
Yeah, but we would do that to stop the villains, because I like to think we're somewhat good people. I like to think we're decent human beings.
Stop the villains? I thought we were the villains.
I don't know anymore. I like maybe somewhere in between. But then again, some villains you don't want to stop because they're dastardly or mean-spirited. Some villains you just want to stop because they're not good at what they do.
Exactly. Their plans aren't always thought out. They just kind of signed on to someone else's plan sometimes. It's just they're never quite. Some of them never live up to what you expect of a villain, especially from some of the better animes that have really good build up for villains and stuff like that.
That is correct. And that's why this week we're going to talk about our least favorite villains in anime because, yeah, there are a lot of them. And when we say worst villains, just remember, these are not dastardly villains. These are just more along the lines of, why did you even bother? What are you doing here?
Yeah, it could, as I said, it could be that their powers just aren't good. It could be that they were a catalyst for someone else's villain story. It's just, yeah, there's a ton of reasons to not like some villains.
That is correct. And considering you're probably the more evil one between the two of us, as far as the audience goes, do you want to start off? Do you want to go first for our lovely, beautiful audience?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. And this one's really obvious. Everyone thinks it's probably the worst villain in One Piece history. Silver Fox Foxy.
I don't even think I know who that is.
He is from what is considered one of the worst mix of canon and filler episodes or arcs in the series, in the Long Ring Long Island arc. And he pretty much, his entire thing is that there's this game that he plays, and if he wins, he gets one of your crew members, and if you win, you can get one of his crew members. And the Straw Hat Pirates play the game. He has this really, he looks like Waluigi pretty much in his face design. He's got the long kind of pointed nose, but then he's got pointy hair. All of his characters, all of his crew wear this fox style mask kind of thing. But he's so annoying, and he uses something called his devil fruit is the slow fruit, so he slows you down. So all of his challenges are race things or fighting, and he just tries to slow you down to end up winning himself. But it goes on way too long because it takes place between the Skypiea arc and the Water 7 arc, which are an okay arc and a really good arc, and it just kind of slows the pace of the story. It was fine in the manga where it was 2 or 3 chapters, but it's 10 to 12 episodes, so it really got spread out, and it's all about this game with these annoying characters, and he shows up a few, I think one other time in the series with another thing, and he's just so annoying.
Okay, remind me of the arc that he's the most prominent in.
It's the long Long Ring, Long Island arc, if I'm not mistaken. But
Is that the arc where they have to go help Nami, or like right after Sanji joins?
no. This is they've already been through to the what's it called? The Grand Line. They've already got Chopper and Robin on the crew. It's the arc before they get Frankie comes to the crew.
Oh, I like Frankie.
Yeah, so but it just his arc is so bad and he's not fun. He's not a good dastardly villain. He's never shown as being on par with the Straw Hats, except for his devil fruit power. And his none of his crew seem to be competent enough to even compete with the rest of with any of the Straw Hats. So it's just, and unless he's involved in it, they're not good. And even then, he's not. He's just bad. I really do not like Foxy.
Yeah, and I guess maybe I just don't remember him or anything. So I guess I have to co-sign here. So yeah, I'm sorry. That's all I got for him.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd probably recognize him because he's always on these sort of lists if you go online and look him up. But yeah, he's just not a good villain.
All right, so my first one,
Go right ahead.
Lord N from Beelzebub.
Okay.
Okay, so Lord N is the brother of Baby Beel, and he's surrounded by these three, I guess you could call them caretakers, because they basically dress up as maids. He basically acts like a pre-teenage kid, despite the fact, like, dude, you're a demon. At least kind of act like it. He doesn't really do anything all that devious or dastardly. He's just an annoying little kid who has a crush on this. I guess you could call her. She dresses up like a nurse, but I don't remember at all what her powers were. This girl named Lamia, who joins the main cast. He doesn't really do anything all that interesting or dastardly. One of the things he does though to challenge them is a set of video games. Like basically he challenges them to like a game of Battlefield. Well, and don't get me wrong, the episodes themselves are pretty fun, but it's not because of anything he does. He's annoying, he's kind of abrasive, and it's weird because I find his baby brother, who's one of the main characters, to be one of the more lovable characters of the show. But nothing really rubs off. Like, you don't see moments like in between where it's like maybe deep down he cares about his brother. All he does is show jealousy, and he's not all that dangerous. Like, there's nothing cool about him. He's just whiny, and he's not the last whiny character I'm going to have on this list. And I want to get your thoughts on that character in particular. But Lord N just, I don't know. Maybe the manga treated him better, but I don't know for sure because nobody seems to bring this guy up. Probably because he's bad.
I mean, he sounds annoying. There's a character kind of in Bleach that's similar, and I've got a character from the same arc, but who has different powers. But yeah, it doesn't sound great.
No, and he doesn't even get like a cool transformation. I don't even know what his powers are. He just shows up, whines, and loses at a video game.
God, yeah. So, oh my God, he's one of us.
Yeah, but hey. I'd like to think we have some charm to us, not a lot, but just barely enough that people like to keep us alive.
Is he the one who would be going around setting everybody back in gun game when we had it
Yes.
set to 10 setbacks every time you get
Yes, and the rule we had of you can't do it until they get like to 15 or something, and then Nathan would end up doing it when we're on 2, and then Jabbar. Yeah, he'd be one of those people.
Okay, yeah, no, it sounds like that. Okay.
Yeah, but Lord N, pretty bad.
All right. So my next one, I don't know if you'll agree with it, but it's Bibbidi from Dragon Ball Z.
Bibbidi or Bobbidi?
Sorry, I guess this one's Bobbidi.
I mean, technically they're both villains, but I don't remember anything about Bibbidi.
Well, whichever one is the one that resurrects Boo. When I was doing research, according to this, everybody, like, depending on the translation you watched, it's actually pronounced both ways. So it's really confusing.
If I recall, you know what? Just go ahead and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, eventually. No, but this is the one that's pretty much starts out as the main antagonist of the Boo saga, and is then later on killed off by Boo himself and all that. It's just, he has no understanding of what's going on half the time, it seems like, and he ends up he was just so kind of annoying to me watching this series. He just it always felt like he was kind of in the way for something more devastating, which later on became Boo, which still wasn't the best villain in my opinion of Dragon Ball, when you have Cell and Frieza having come before him. But yeah, just him being a precursor, it's something I don't like when they have someone, oh, I'm here to take over your world using this person. Oh, and this person kills me.
Ooh, you're not gonna like Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Season 3 if that's the case. But here's the thing, I completely agree, but I want to go into it a little more because remember, he has those two henchmen, I don't remember what their names are, at the World Tournament, and they get disposed of pretty easily down the line, even when they take Gohan's energy. Though to be fair, Gohan was done pretty dirty at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully the movie fixes that. Regardless, though, he has these other minions. One of them fights Vegeta and the other fights Goku, and they both get dealt with pretty easily. Like, I thought to myself, none of his henchmen are all that interesting either. But hold on, let's see where things go. Dabura was kind of cool, but got dealt with Boo pretty easily. He tried to manipulate Vegeta, but Vegeta turned the tables on him fairly easily. He got no major wins. He was pathetic.
Yeah, and as I said, his control over Boo pretty much led to Boo running away from him, and then later on killing him.
Yeah, and all it took was like a couple of sentences from Goku and Hercule. So if Boo is that easily to be, I guess, not manipulated by Goku and Hercule, but you're a master wizard and you can't do anything, something's wrong. Something is very wrong with Bibbidi.
Exactly. You see exactly what I'm talking about, though. He's one of the lame villains.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I never would have thought. I don't even consider Bibbidi a villain, really. When I think of best and worst villains for Dragon Ball, he doesn't even register. But now that we're having this conversation, I'm like, oh no, dude, you suck. You suck.
I mean, just think about how great the villains of Frieza and even like all of his minions were. Like, we love the Ginyu Force because they're so entertaining. At the time, both Darbon and
Zarbon and Dodoria.
There we go. I started combining their names. Are very scary at the start of their arc.
Yeah, and all the Namekians they beat up too.
Mm-hmm. Cell's able to create miniature versions of himself that are more powerful than all the other people, and the androids before him were scary in their own right because they were able to beat up Super Saiyan Vegeta.
Heck, I know he's not a villain, and look, I know the joke on the podcast is that I generally go along with this, but I take Monaka more seriously than I take Bibbidi.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Probably has a higher power level anyway.
Yeah, see, oh, it slips now. But yeah, I agree. Bibbidi is, upon further reflection, Bibbidi, you're pretty awful, dude.
Yep. I mean, it wasn't even like it took me forever to remember. I was like, I wanted someone from Dragon Ball. It's like, well, he's good. He's good. Ginyu Force are just hilarious. So they're not worth putting on this list for that. And then I was like, oh my God, I forgot about him until that's how I thought of him. So
yeah, that's really not a good sign. But yeah, I agree. Bibbidi just kick rocks, dude.
Yep. All right, your next one.
Okay, Gremslo from, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but Gremslo from God Eater 2.
Okay.
This dude, here's the thing, I don't even necessarily want to say it's similar to a Bastion from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, like they build him up and then do nothing, but they don't do a very good job of building this guy up. He's supposedly in charge of basically everything going on with God Eaters, like fighting the monsters, saving people. but he's incredibly selfish and only cares about protecting the wealthy. You would think, oh, that could lead to something interesting. Even if you don't sympathize with him, you could at least lead to like an interesting villain. But he doesn't really do anything. The only thing he does is very early on, he basically says, hey, we're going to have these giant mech things fight alongside you. And then Shield, one of the main teammates, she ends up stuck with one of the robots. And to make a long story short, there's this rain that could potentially kill her. The only villainous thing he does is he basically says, hey, protect the robots. I don't give a damn about your friends. And Hero, the protagonist, actually ends up going out and saving her. On the one hand, it leads to a beautiful moment between Hero and Shield of their friendship, and it's nice. But he doesn't really do anything else. Like, it feels like they didn't know what they wanted to do with him at the time. And like Bibbidi, he's not even the main villain. He's more of a pawn who doesn't really do anything.
Okay, yeah, I've actually got one very similar to this. It sounds like, well, at least at the end where he's kind of a pawn again for someone else. But yeah, just when someone's built up to be what looks like a big bad for a series and then to have them killed off, sometimes it works out well and you get a much better big bad in the end, but sometimes it just feels like a letdown. It's like, wow, that person could have been something important. Oh well.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, there's this doctor named Dr. Lee, and it kind of seems like he has her like manipulated, but as it turns out, she's not even really a bad. She's not even a villain. It's not even one of those things where it's like, oh well, I was using him to find out information so we could save the day. It's just like, oh, we just sort of dropped that point, and she's like a genuinely nice, loving person. It was his whole arc was weird. No comeuppance, no defeat. He just sort of stopped existing.
Oh god, so it's not even that he gets a like a real true ending. It's he just disappears all of a sudden.
Yeah, but basically.
Oh yeah, even bad. I mean, at least Bibbidi got killed off in
Yeah.
Dragon Ball.
Yeah, upon further reflection, maybe this guy should have been number one, but I don't know. I don't know.
All right, so my next one. All right, so the next one I have is Mustard from My Hero Academia, and his name is literally kind of his power. It's he creates sleeping gas pretty much. Not mustard gas, but sleeping gas.
I would have much preferred if his powers was just shooting mustard, and that's the power itself.
Well, that probably exists in My Hero Academia based on how the powers work, but
Based on all I've heard.
So he's in one arc. He's part of the team that consists of like all the big bads for like the rest of the series. He generates this gas that he pretty much with his powers, the gas will make anyone who breathes it in too much will pass out, and then and with the gas he can pretty much feel what you're doing and how to put it and be able to react to you. So it seems like it'd be something that if he had time to develop, he could have become one of like their best utility members of the bad guys. But he gets captured in this first arc, and I don't even think they break him out of prison in the manga yet. I don't know if there's if he actually is or not, but he's definitely not a big part of the story anymore, as far as I'm aware of.
Who beats him exactly?
Three of the side characters, two of which are not even in the main class. They're in the second class that gets like a handful of scenes.
Is the second class like the older class, or just
No.
just like another class, but the same year?
Class 1A is the main cast. Class 1B are part of the story, but only appear some of the time. And there, it was like two Class 1B students and one Class A student are in that fight. And it's like, so it's not even, and this was like only Class B's like second appearance. Yeah.
I mean, The powers sound quirky enough that, in theory, I think this could make it like a good comedic villain of some kind. But based on what you're telling me, that's upsetting. Please tell me there's at least a hero named Ketchup or whatever, anything.
I'm I don't know all the details of the upcoming story arc. I know some of the names that I don't know will catch up, but it would be interesting if there is. But
All I'm saying is, if they ever do a My Hero game where you create your own hero, Ketchup needs to be one of the powers.
that would be interesting. But again, I wish that they had done more, break him out of prison or have him escape, because I think his powers could have like really have come in handy in some places for the villains and really expanded what they were doing. But
Yeah, yeah, and I guess I have to co-sign. So, are you done, or is it my next one?
yep, go right ahead.
Okay, we both know this character, and it's a Naruto villain. I really want to get your thoughts on this villain.
Okay.
Obito.
Yeah.
Look. In some ways, I kind of feel bad for Obito. Oh, based on everything he'd been through, he basically almost died, but then it turns out he's still alive, and then he tries running back to the village, and he sees Kakashi killing Rin, but he and Kakashi didn't like each other at first, and Rin had a... There's so much about this character that should work, especially considering he's kind of the person who inspired Kakashi to stop being like such a jerk and basically being like, breaking the rules is scum, but abandoning your friends is worse than scum. There's a lot to this character that I could like, but he talks so much and he's so whiny.
Yeah, he of the big bads of the whole story of Naruto, he is not good. I really only like Madara himself of the three bads, which I'll get to later. But um, yeah, he's way too easily manipulated by others as well, because everything he's done has been pretty much designed by Madara, Black Zetsu, and Kaguya.
Huh, so that runs in the Uchiha bloodline. That's cool. That's cool to know. Well, but I guess the other thing for me is this character could have worked, but he's sadly part of the infamous Takano Jutsu thing. In my opinion, this might have worked if there was like more of a build up. Like if they revealed he was alive or whatever. If they'd done that earlier, I don't know what arc in particular would have worked, but if they'd introduced him a little bit earlier and he had done some stuff, then maybe that could have worked. But overall, just I didn't like him. And there's another Did you? I have a feeling I know who the other Naruto villain on your list is supposed to be. So I didn't pick said villain, but it's kind of my same problem with Kabuto because what do they do?
Yeah, thinking of like the arc that would be good, maybe have I would have had him be a part of, have him hold up Kakashi trying to go save Naruto and Sasuke at the same time, and the end of part one, and the mask cracks and it falls off, revealing the Sharingan, and it's the and this could have been a good chance to introduce Kakashi having the Mangekyo Sharingan and him, and they both have the parts, and Kakashi, and what Kakashi's been doing over the time skip is figuring it out, like tracking him and finally figuring it out before the end.
Especially when after they redo the bell exercise, Kakashi says, "Oh, I've been working on this new jutsu, but I don't want to show it off just yet." That could have led to that. That could have worked. Not to mention, in my opinion, Kakashi could have felt that much more guilty that he wasn't able to catch up with Sasuke, and that could have led to something. Not to mention, in my opinion, when Obito was Toby, like he was hanging out with Deidara and being funny, that he was so much more interesting. I found him hilarious.
Yeah, it was one of those, like, he was scary, threatening, but in a silly way. It's like, it's that Joker from DC Comics thing.
Yeah.
You never know what he's going to actually do.
Yeah, and not to mention, even Kisa may have been, I kind of liked him. And which, I don't know. Oh, the dynamics between the Akatsuki members were always some of my favorites. But But here's the thing: that only lasted when he was Toby, not Obito. Obito just no, no, and I guess technically Kabuto from what I've said, but Obito's more fun to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, Kabuto's just, I don't know, he's just a kind of weird character in my opinion.
Yeah, but I'm done talking. I'm done talking about Naruto potentially until yours. So why don't you go?
All right, so my next one is Itsusaya Eisen from Food Wars. He it
I heard Eisen and I thought of a different anime, but continue.
no, no, I've got a Bleach one later on for it'll be an honorable mention, but um, he's he's part of the what is the top 10 students at the start of the series. He's known as the food alchemist of the thing. They like all the elite 10 get these special nicknames usually with based on their specialties and all that. And he plays kind of the main antagonist role for the start of the central arc, which is where pretty much they're like everybody's going to be a bad guy, or everybody's going to be taught exactly how to cook the recipes, exactly how we cook them. And if you make a mistake off that, just go redo the recipe. It changes like the dynamic where instead of creativity, you have to do it. All food has to be cooked one specific way.
Sounds like our master media department in a nutshell. But go ahead.
He ends up pretty much he bribes the judges in like every competition he's in to because all the different clubs get a chance to do a shokugeki, which is the food war competition that they do to save their club because the whole club's about inventing something, like inventing new forms of food. And he literally like hardly ever cooks in these because he's already bribed him. So the other team presents the food and he still wins. Yeah. Until Soma comes up because he's going to save their dormitory and presents a dish. And in this one, he actually cooks. He starts cooking halfway through. And Soma still cooks something so delicious that he wins. And I don't think he has another win in the entire series, except for like a background where he kicked one of the not great students that is partnered with Soma's group out of the academy. And he beat them off screen or in like one little like picture.
That I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
He's built up as like this big bad guy, and when compared to like the rest of the Elite 10, he's really not great.
And I guess I have to co-sign. I really feel like Food Wars is one of those shows that had we started watching together, I might love this show, but I don't know. It's kind of weird like that.
Yeah, you have to get by a lot of fan service, like way too much fan service in it to really enjoy the cooking. Because some of the recipes sound like really good. Like I want to try some of them.
I have thought about recipes I could cook and just show off on the channel, but that's another point for another day. So his name, remind me his name. I don't.
The best, it's spelled Etsuya, Eisen, Eiza.
Oh, Eisen. That's right, Eisen. I'll remember that.
But I don't. So my best pronunciation is Etsusaya Eisen.
Okay, but do they reference his time at all in Bleach when he's in Food Wars?
No, and I think that's spelled differently anyway. I think that one's spelled with an A.
Whatever. Either way. So my next one, the Lobelia Girls Academy from Oron High School Host Club. Look. I fully admit this could just be one of those things where, oh, well, they're such good villains that they kind of work you into legitimately hating them. In some senses, I can understand that. But I despise these girls. They basically show up at Oron Academy, and they're basically the typical, oh, well, we're women, so we have to be pampered and treated like this and be independent. Like, there's so many mixed messages with everything they're saying and they're just toxic, awful people. Well, which in a sense kind of works because Haruhi's all about, oh, I don't care if boy, girl, it doesn't really matter. She's similar to Yusuke in Yu Yu Hakusho, but except like Haruhi's not trying to beat the snot out of everybody, at least as far as I know. But I just feel like the episodes they had were never very compelling. Not to mention the comeuppance they suffer isn't really that much. They just get talked down to basically, and they disappear. I felt like out of all the episodes of this relatively short anime, I really just could not stand these characters to the point of I'm just like, do I want to finish this show? Do I want to move on? Because it didn't work. They were some of the worst characters of an otherwise pretty damn great show.
Yeah, remember I can remember a lot of episodes from this show, surprisingly, over the fact that I watched it over 2 years ago. And this is one of the few that it's like, I don't remember it at all. Like, I can remember them going to the water park in one episode. I can remember like the last kind of few episode arc that they did. I think it was like 2 or 3 episodes at the very end.
Yeah.
Let's see. There was also a couple other little things. So yeah, this one I just don't remember. And that's surprising thinking back because I remember them going on vacation to like this place in the country. So yeah.
Yeah, it is especially strange because the host club doesn't even take them all that seriously. They're just like, oh, you guys again. You guys again. And none of their, I guess part of the thing is, one of the things, whether I like a character, whether I don't, I like to see how they play off other characters. And they didn't really do that much. You might think, oh, well, your purpose is to make you like Haruhi more. But the problem is at least for me, I instantly liked Haruhi pretty much the second she started, like, we started seeing who she was. Because if they were more developed and they were just more interesting, and if it felt like they were different from each other, because I felt like they were just different levels of snootiness, and it didn't work for me. So they are probably my least favorite characters in the whole show.
I can't remember them well, so I'm assuming that they're either that or not memorable enough to bother with it anymore. So I will co-sign.
That is correct. So honorable mentions time?
Yep, honorable mentions time.
All right, go ahead.
So this one is friend turned enemy due to some background issues, and that's the Celestial Spirit King from Fairy Tail. He turns into this like he's like the most powerful spirit that they have access to be friends with, and he shows up on multiple times throughout the series to help out, and is even a catalyst later on for some stuff. But he gets corrupted, and he turns, and like all the celestial spirits end up as like these dark forms of themselves. But they at least have personalities. They're different from where they're at. They're like the exact opposite of how they usually are. He just turns into this amorphic blob with an open mouth that's pretty much eating everything. And it's just, but he's the main antagonist for a filler arc in Fairy Tail. And it's just not good. He sits there, screams, they have a giant battle, and he's not even revealed until like the last like 3 episodes of the arc. So you don't even know why the rest of the spirits are acting up and behaving the way they are until the very end of the of this already bad arc. And it's like, okay, and he's back. Oh, we saved the day. He's back to normal. Okay, on with the regular actual story.
I hope that was actual dialogue in the episode, because I feel like that would make that arc somewhat more tolerable, but I don't have any more than that. He sounds pretty terrible. He sounds pretty not good.
Yeah, how to put it? And this is considered like the worst arc in the series by a long shot, because it's just filler.
Yeah, and I guess I can co-sign. just because we never went over this, I have 2 honorable mentions.
Oh, let me see. Yeah, I've got two as well.
All right, that's fine. Do you mind if I go for my first honorable mention?
Go right ahead.
Okay, this is an honorable mention because this character is not the character they used to be. They've since fixed it. Him. That being said, this was pretty bad when he first came out. From Dragon Ball Z, the original Broly.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so little backstory. When I first saw Broly as a kid, I thought this guy was terrifying. And to be fair, he is. He's a badass. He's the legendary Super Saiyan, in which I'm not completely sure how it makes him different from a regular Super Saiyan, but I don't know.
Super Saiyan, but green.
Sure. But the thing is, he had that form beforehand when he was just regular Super Saiyan and his hair was blue. Like, you learn that from the video games and more stuff like that. But regardless, he ends up hating Goku and consistently going crazy whenever he hears the words Kakra. So you might think to yourself, oh man, this is going to be really interesting. Like, what is it? Did Bardock do something to his family and he's going to take it out on Goku since Bardock's gone? Or Goku's mom, who we didn't know at the time. But nope, it turns out he hates him because Goku, as a baby, Goku cried next to him. What?
Yeah. Yeah, I really when they did what was the movie? The Super Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. It was just it was so much of a better story for him. Like it's so nice that they retconned pretty much everything for the story.
Yeah, and I don't even want to get into Bio Broly, but because oh god, I want to talk about it. But like just regardless, everything about Broly is super cool and super badass until you learn his backstory.
Which is almost a Dragon Ball Z cliche of for a little bit. At least not Dragon Ball Z, a Dragon Ball cliche is where they have a more comedic backstory than you actually need.
I didn't hate Jiren's backstory. I don't know. Jiren was weird for me, but I guess the thing is they point this out in the abridged series because after all the things they did, it's like, wait, why don't you hate Vegeta or Vegeta's death? Anything? But like I said, he's an honorable mention because they retcon and they made him. They did an excellent job with him in the movie, but like still, it doesn't erase everything. It doesn't erase my memory.
Yeah, I can completely co-sign onto that. It's once he became this version of Broly, I think it was much better. I can't forget the old one because we're kind of now entering there's Dragon Ball Legends access. Which one's the real story? You be the judge.
I mean, at least we have multiple. At least we have multiple sources for us to enjoy. I will give them credit for that.
Yeah, and I'm still not saying besides the backstory, I would still go watch Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Z Broly movie, whichever one that is, because it's still entertaining.
Yeah.
All right, so my last honorable mention, let's see, we'll go with this one, is Jackie. I believe her last name is Tristan from Bleach. She's part of it was currently the last arc in the series that's about to end, but will be corrected come October when they start the final arc. No, they've made the trailers and all that finally, so we've got a date.
Oh, okay.
But she's one of the Fullbringers, which again is considered the worst villains and arc in the series by a long shot. At first, she's kind of portrayed as a friend who's there to help Ichigo start to learn how to use his powers again, having lost his powers due to using his ultimate attack at the end of the Eisen arc. How to put it? So pretty much the Fullbringer's powers each come from something personal to them. Like the character I was thinking of when you were talking about the Master N was in this arc. There's a guy who has a PSP who can use it to generate like video game monsters and different dimensions himself. Jackie's power is that she has a pair of boots that the dirtier they get, the faster and the stronger she becomes. That's her power.
So if the person just runs around with like a cloth and some cleaning stuff, then you're set.
Yeah.
Was this supposed to be a comedic arc, or
No, it
was it a fantasy, or
no,
was it the abridged series that
nope.
decided the why? What was the point?
Exactly. She is pretty much built up. They're all built up as having these unique powers. It's revealed that Chad, Ichigo's best human male friend, is considered one thanks to the necklace he got from his grandfather. That's where his powers come from. So it's just, this arc is really just not great. It's fine in the end because it leads to the build up to Ichigo getting his powers back. But just she's just like one of the side villains. And then when like all of Ichigo's actual friends from the Soul Reaper Society show up and to help him, they pretty much kick their butts really fast. I think she survives in the end, but they get like, when compared to the last arc's set of villains, they are considered really weak by comparison. Like they'll like main heroes died in the last arc. This one, I think like one hero got a couple scratches, and that's because they were one of those comedic fights where another one of them can summon like giant teddy bears and stuff, and they thought they were too cute to attack, and they got attacked that way. I think that's the only time any of them got hurt.
Oh, what's next? Let me guess. The more cuddly the teddy bears got, the more powerful they became.
I think the cuter the person who had the power, I don't remember their name, the more powerful they were if they thought it was cute.
That reminds me of that of the Momoto War Arc and Zatch Bell, when they come across that puzzle. It's like, who's the most beautiful one? And all the girls are like, oh, it's me. And then Wanrei, the fighting Momoto's like, wait, beautiful? Is it me? Like, but that's at least funny. This just sounds weird.
Yeah, she has a tragic backstory because her powers awakened because her father was moving product to the black market and got killed, and then somehow blood activated her powers, and that was like the first thing that got stained on her boots, and that's what activated the powers, because her whole family was killed by the mob or something like that. But it was just,
sure, why not?
But she's just not powerful. I could have put a lot of the Fullbringers on there, but I mean, at least the guy with the video games, he can create like other dimensions with his video games. He can create monsters with his video games. This person, her power is that her boots get dirty. She gets a little faster and a little stronger as it gets more and more dirty. It's like,
in a comedic series, that would work, but based on the arc you're telling me about, I don't think it suits it well.
No, it's really not. Like, some of these powers could be really interesting. It could have been, if they were given more power where they were actually on par with post Arrancar arc Bleach characters, where they were like these monsters in power pretty much. There's only a handful of people left that aren't captain level.
Yeah, also, isn't Bleach supposed to be about swords? What are these?
These are just other people's powers. Like, the whole story arc leads up to Ichigo getting his Soul Reaper powers back.
Okay, I guess I co-sign.
All right, your last honorable mention?
All right, you gave me a headache with that last one, which kind of works because I hate these. Are they completely the main villains of the series I'm talking about? Not necessarily, so they're an honorable mention. But still, I hate these characters. I hate these villains. From Elf and Lead, those 3 butt munch kids.
Okay. I completely co-sign already.
Yeah, yeah. Just to run it down really quick. This girl named Lucy, she's a bit terrifying, but she has this little dog that she becomes friends with, and those three butt munches kill that dog, and then they die. But frankly, in my opinion, it wasn't enough.
I don't get it because a lot of times it seems like in anime, especially like these late 90s, early 2000s, Kid Bully takes like hero or protagonist's pet dog and throws it in the water or beats it to death in these things. And then because they did it in Naruto as well, they didn't kill it because it learned to swim and swam away, but still, it's like this happens a lot, like more than you think in anime, which is really depressing because dogs are amazing.
Yes, yes, they are. And the thing, the first part is that they messed is what they did to that dog. But the second thing is, like, really, you're like, let's see. This girl could probably capable of killing all of us. Let's piss her off. Let's see how that works.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, I don't get it. I completely co-sign onto this. I know
Yeah,
exactly which scene you're talking about. Yeah, it's just
and they have names, but I don't care to know them because they're not important.
no, yeah, no, they're not. So yeah, that's one that will completely co-sign, and they're 100% on both lists at this point.
All right. That's the first time I brought up that show, and it's probably going to be the last. Let's move on.
All right, so my last one. I decided to save this one for last because we've already kind of hinted around it and I've talked about it before.
No, really?
Kaguya from Naruto.
Which Kaguya?
The one from Naruto.
Okay, technically that answers my question. There was a villain in Naruto named Kaguya, but she was a filler character. And she was in one of the video games, so I didn't think you knew that. I just wanted to dance around it a bit just to make things interesting.
Yeah, no, but in all honesty, she's brought in last minute. I've talked about that being annoying when you replace your obviously already big bad who's already got trouble. Like all they had to do was say he's now the second coming of Kaguya. He's got all her powers and abilities, and that would have been amazing for Madara to be like that powerful, and he's just going on a rampage. As I said, Madara of the three big bads at the end of Naruto is the best in my opinion. He's actually feels threatening because you watch him take out what are supposed to be the five strongest shinobi in the world at the time. That in all the Kage, he takes out an entire division of the allied shinobi forces. It feels like the only chance that they have are Naruto and Sasuke, who Naruto has the ability to hit him and Sasuke has the ability to see him or see his like doppelganger stuff. Like this could have been so awesome at having him continue to like slowly activate new powers.
Do you remember her backstory at all? Like
Um,
she was in love with someone. God, why is that
yeah,
the driving force for so many characters in Naruto?
I remember it vaguely. I know she either he died or betrayed her or something, and then she ate the fruit and killed a whole bunch of people, and then started her clan with her son, and then he found out he and his brother found out what was going on and pretty much betrayed her to and sealed her away. That's
Yeah, yeah, not to mention, you've said before that this character was like supposed to lead into what happens in Boruto or whatever. Then why don't you could have left like a tiny little trace of her and been like, oh man, seriously? We got rid of Madara, but this thing is still lingering out. Oh, whatever. All right, time skip.
yeah. I think it could have been better had it played more towards like okay, so they defeat Madara, and it's revealed that while he was considered the second coming of Kaguya, he was actually a lot weaker, and then than her, and then reveal her siblings, cousins, whatever they are, that are like the main antagonists of Boruto. And just kind of had it play through that where they're starting like we need to get stronger. So then we could have actually had. I may have actually liked Boruto more. Okay, we have a reason for you to actually want to get stronger and all that, rather than we're going to nerf your dad and his best friend because we want you to be the protagonist now.
Yeah, and also maybe they could have gained some intel, like through the Anbu Black Ops, but no, no,
Yeah,
no.
but she just feels forced, as I said. I mean, it's surprising when Black Zetsu betrays him, but it would have been nice if, like, okay, have Black Zetsu still be her will, but have it be like, okay, I've recreated you as best as I can. Now consume the world, pretty much, kind of thing. And um, and it's literally like just that would have been so kind of cool. Madara slowly developing these powers of interdimensional travel and all that, and just eventually leading to him getting sealed and uh, going and being killed by Naruto and Sasuke in the end, similar to how Kaguya was.
Yeah, not to just. I mean, yeah,
But
not to. I just want one. I just want one moment where Black Zetsu sticks his hand through Madara, and Madara has that shocked face, but then he gets a smile like "you idiot," and then he just incinerates Black Zetsu. That would have made Madara look so much more badass, and I would have been like, "All right, I'm starting to root for him at this point. He is determined."
plus, then we would have gotten more probably back and forth in the final arc between him and Team Seven versus what we got, which was like she says like 3 lines in the entire like last
Yeah,
5 episodes she's in.
not to mention she got taken that she not taken out, but she got affected by the sexy reverse harem jutsu.
Yes, unfortunately she did. So yeah, this could have been just because as I've said multiple times, Madara was the best villain at the end of the series, just because he felt the most threatening. He was the most interesting of them, and it just the Obito before him was interesting, and then kind of fell off at the end, and Kaguya was never interesting because there was never any connection between her and the main trio.
I still feel like deep down they might have been able to fix this if Orochimaru had kind of stayed the main villain.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we'll talk about him another time. But I have to agree. Kaguya, as much as sick as I am of talking about the war arc, Kaguya was not it. Kaguya was not it.
Exactly. All right. Your last one?
That's right. My last one from. Okay, before I say this, I just want to say I rip on Yu-Gi-Oh! GX constantly, but it is one of my favorite anime of all time. That being said, though, this villain sucked. Kagemaru from season 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. First of all, speaking of Yu-Gi-Oh!, buy the merch. Buy the merch. Second of all, you remember the Shadow Riders, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the Shadow Riders, I gotta put all of them on this list, but one of them has an interesting backstory, and the other one is voiced by somebody doing a Christopher Walken impersonation, so I can't hate that. But Kagemaru is just his plan doesn't make any sense. He sets up this whole angle for we need to get more the spirit keys and get more energy for this. For the what's it called? The sacred beasts, which aren't that great when you start to really see that they just stole the Egyptian gods' look. At the end of season 1, he ends up dueling Jaden, and he's like this old man in this, I guess, this tube of some kind. And rather than here's the thing, part of my problem with Kagemaru is that he's not really one of the cool things for me is during that arc, you think, oh, okay, everybody has a key. They should all be working together to do this sort of thing. But he's just like, no, Jaden has more dueling energy, so I want to duel just him. Not a great start. But the thing is he takes dueling energy like from his duel with Jaden, and his backstory, he doesn't really have one. His main goal is, I want to take the dual energy so I can rule the world simply so I can be young again. That's it. That's literally it. And when Jaden beats him in the end, and it's basically like, oh well, all I wanted to do was be young again, and it's such a stupid thing. Hey, like, we don't learn anything about why do you want to be young. Did something happen? It's not even necessarily so bad. It's funny, like GX has been known to do. So it's just basically, I just want to be young again. Nothing else. Nothing else. And they barely acknowledge him for the rest of the series until like season 4. But he doesn't do a whole lot in season 4. He's supposed to be like the headmaster or something of the school, but that doesn't really come up all that much. His defeat was super, super lame, and his whole motivation was just was terrible.
Yeah, this had some really interesting characters because we got Alexis's brother was in this as Red Eye's Mask or whatever it was.
Yeah, Night Shroud. You'd think
Night Shroud.
she would have been the one to beat him and save him, but nope, Jaden.
And the vampire lady that defeats Zayn, if I remember correctly. It was kind of a weird one, but it was still entertaining to watch.
This arc has so much mixed messages to me. Like they had a lot of potential, but just whatever. I'll let you keep going.
Yeah, this arc was a lot of fun until the end. Like I remember, although it does feel like it comes kind of out of nowhere to end season 1, where there wasn't like any kind of build up to there being something mysterious happening in the background. I mean, there was kind of, but there's only like 2 or 3 episodes where they talk about this kind of stuff, and then now we need a second half of the season 1 arc just to talk about everything.
Not to mention the whole, he gets brought back basically because Chaz loses a duel with all the 7 keys to Alexis. Not because he's brainwashed, not because he's tricked or anything, but because he's trying to go on a date with her. Chaz, what are you doing?
Yep.
But yeah, Kagemaru, like, here's the thing. I've ripped on season 2, but Sartorius is actually kind of an interesting character. He has interesting motivation, his backstory is sad, and he's when you watch the dub, he's flippin' hilarious, especially when he talks with Hasselberry. I'm not huge on Bell from season 3, but I at least understand their motivation. And season 4 is, I'll talk about season 4 another day, just not right now. But Kagemaru was just lame. It was just lame, just lame.
Yeah, and I know some of the ones in like classic original Yu-Gi-Oh were very out there and lame in kind of the same way, but at least they all had dark motives for wanting him. They might have still been really stupid or something, but at least they all gave us backstories and reasons that they wanted to do what they were doing.
Heck, Game Show Bob Banter made a better villain than he did, because at least it was like, I'm trying to be with Alexis because I have low self-confidence. And still, like, having low self-confidence and lead to being a villain, I know, it's Game Show Bob Banter, I know. But he's still a far more memorable character than Kagemaru. Kagemaru just sucks.
Exactly. I'll completely co-sign on to that one.
Alright, so, are we ready to close out?
Yep.
Alright, so ladies, gentlemen, and others, what are your least favorite villains in anime? Whether they're popular opinions, unpopular opinions, just anything. Whether they're lame, unrealistic, just anything. Anything at all.
Mm-hmm. And do you agree with the ones we picked, or do you have reasons to actually think these are good, some of these are good villains? And what are those reasons in the comments below? That's
right, and at some point we'd love to do a list of best villains, but at the same time, sometimes you might be thinking, actually, that was, he was supposed to be the hero of this? I'm like, no, not in my eyes. My eyes completely flip it.
Yeah, we may do that one. Well, it sort of depends. That one's a lot. That one might be like 5 episodes or something, because there's a lot of really, really good villains in anime. That's the thing.
Yeah, but be sure to like, subscribe, comment, buy the merch, tell your friends, and hydrate, because it's hot right now. Anyways, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, but most importantly, be good to us. And we will see you next time. This has been Alex.
And Richard.
And you have been listening to the Anime Egotists. Good night, and peace easy.